Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's poppin', Fantasy Champs? A little bit later this week. Show's a little bit later this week.
Just a little bit.
I think it's later every week. Soon we're going to be recording on Sunday afternoon, midway through the game.
No, Sunday at 12:30, right before the games.
Yeah, like rushing through our whole entire starts and sit show.
At that point, we just live stream it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just live stream the damn thing. It's like,
yeah.
All right, so let's jump into what we got for today. Welcome, Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Will I say that right? Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always.
What's going on?
And today we have starts and sits for week 7.
Yes, sir.
That's right. That's week 7, correct? Because I did not change that in the show notes. I said week 6. I almost said the wrong week.
No, I think you're good. Hopefully. Maybe.
I can't remember what week it is. It's starting to mesh together at this point. Yeah, so we're going to give you starts and sits. Pretty normal, as usual. If you see, here's the problem. I was going to say on Thursday, like starts and sits on Thursday's show, but this is not on Thursday, so.
Well, we don't include the Thursday night game usually anyway, so.
Thank the Lord.
Yeah.
But anyway, before we jump into starts and sits for week 7, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Any of those platforms, type the FF Champs, Fantasy Champions, and you'll find us. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcast platforms, leave a review, share this pod with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like, and then comment down below any questions, any start and sit questions you have for this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you like Rick's hair.
What about my hair?
Nothing, bro.
Oh, just like for the flow, or like for the beard.
It's getting longer. Your hair's getting longer.
I know. I'm ready. I'm at the point where I'm ready to cut it, but we'll see how it goes.
It's starting to get painful.
Yes. Yeah, it's reached that point.
It takes
hey,
6
so
hours
who
to
do
dry.
I start this week? Sony Michel or Latavius Murray if he's playing? That's how, bro. I'm at the point in my home league where I started Felton, the rookie running back on the Browns, and he got like 5 points.
Dearness Johnson just goes bonkers and you get screwed.
The sad part is I think he got all 5 of those points in like the first half. I didn't watch the game, but I just checked my phone in like the second quarter and it said he had like 4.5 points. I was like, oh, okay. And then I looked at it again. He finished with that exact total. So I don't know if he got hurt or if they just didn't play him. Yeah. It's kind of sad.
I watched parts of the game. I forgot what I was watching. I was probably sleeping, to be honest with you. I was so tired yesterday. I just zoinked. You know what I'm saying?
Old man.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
8 o'clock at night, I'm falling asleep. I really am an old man, huh?
I know. Yeah, I can't stay up for the games.
Yeah, Rick's getting screwed by Biomageddon, and I'm getting screwed by Biomageddon.
7 players from my home league is either inactive because I have Antonio Brown, so I count that, and McCaffrey.
Oh, bro, you can't even get a team going there.
It's legit. Like, I don't have a team. Did you look at my lineup?
No, not yet. I saw that you were starting. What's his name? Oh God, we were just talking about Demetric Felton.
Yeah.
But,
so I had Antonio Brown, AJ Brown as my receivers, so I was like, okay, well, if they each get like 20 points, I might be okay. And then Antonio Brown is now also out this week. So I picked up Dante Pettis, receiver for the Giants, because Kadarius Toney, Galladay, Sterling Shepard, and Darius Slayton could all be out this week for the Giants. And Pettis had 11 targets last week. So
I have a team who's starting.
It's all disgusting. Everything is disgusting.
I have a team who I'm playing this week who has Sterling Shepard. So I hope, not that I'm rooting against somebody, but I hope that happens.
Shepard, I think, had a setback. I think if one of them is going to play, it'll be Darius Slayton.
Oh, thank God.
And John Ross also is questionable. So literally, there are 5 receivers on their roster are all hurt. So they had to sign Dante Pettis last week.
Gross, bro. And the guy hasn't even played for the team. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Well, anyway, so yeah, hopefully you're enjoying your Bye-Mageddon week. I don't understand why the NFL does bye weeks. Why don't we just all do a conjoined group bye week?
Honestly, that wouldn't even be that bad.
Like, no football for 1 week. Just a bye week. I mean, would they lose? Yeah, they would lose a bunch of money.
Yeah, they would.
Yes, that's never going to happen. But, hey, it would be better for fantasy football. So what's better for fantasy football is what's better for me.
Exactly.
But anyway, let's jump into our starts and sits for the week. We're going to give you our start quarterback, sit quarterback, and we'll start from there. So start of the week at quarterback, or not start of the week, but our start quarterback of the week is Ryan Tannehill, who, I drafted him in a freaking dynasty startup league. Now, it wasn't super flex,
I did too.
So I'll survive. You know what I'm saying? I'll survive.
Mine was super flex.
But in a super flex league, if I draft him, I got screwed, which I did not do. Thank the Lord. But Tannehill has not been good. 16, 14, 26, 19, 14, 13. That's his season so far. He is currently the QB 20. So he's not even finishing in the top 15 of quarterbacks in the NFL.
It's gross.
It's disgusting. But he is a start this week against the Kansas City Chiefs. I want to hear your thoughts, Rick. What do you got on Ryan Tannehill?
Yeah, he's been extremely disgusting all season, which is kind of sad because last year, what was he, the QB 7?
Yeah, something like that.
And then the year before that, in the 12 games he played for the Titans in that stretch, he was like a top 5 fantasy quarterback as well. So he had pretty much 2 full seasons, at least a year and 3 quarters worth of evidence showing that he was the top 8 fantasy quarterback. And then this year happened, and he's just hasn't done anything.
I had
a
conversation with Adam Gase.
Whether it's that, the new offensive coordinator, whether it's just because A.J. Brown and Julio Jones have been on and off the field all season.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Even in game 1, though, he wasn't like that. Offense looked terrible with both those guys in it for whatever reason.
It wasn't great. Derrick Henry's the only thing that's keeping the Titans going.
Sad.
But yeah, against the Chiefs, though, it's an interesting matchup because, let's be honest, I don't think they're going to be in a situation where they can rely on Derrick Henry the whole game. Yeah. They're going to be forced to throw at some point in that game.
Right.
Chances are they'll be trailing, and they're going to have to rely on Tannehill, and he's going to have to make plays.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a week where he bounces back. And at this point, I'm not expecting 25, 30 fantasy points from Tannehill, but I think this is a week where he can get you 20 points pretty easily, and he's a good start.
Yeah.
He's also coming off back-to-back weeks with 13. I don't think he has 3 straight horrible weeks on a good matchup. Like, there's too many things going well for him right. for this week, despite his poor play so far this year.
Usually when you play the Kansas City Chiefs, it lends to a high-scoring affair. And a game where the quarterback has got to get super involved is not really a situation where you're going to be able to run it too much in the game. My computer is so slow right now. But anyway, so usually they're going to have to throw the football like a lot, and I think that's what's going to happen in this game for Tannehill. Tennessee's defense has kind of been atrocious. It's not been very good, just like the offense. They really haven't been a great team. What are they, 3-3, 4-2?
I think they're 4-2 actually, but it's a gross 4-2.
Very gross 4-2. So yeah, I mean, for me, the way that I look at it is it's going to be a game where it's going to be high scoring, and it's going to be a game where they're going to have to throw it a lot. So I basically, I guess you could say, upgrade almost every player who starts except for Henry. Yeah. Which, I mean, he's starting anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, no, Tannehill is a really good start this week. I think he has the chance to be, I don't know if it's the first time no, it's not the first time this season. The second time this season finishing as a top 10 quarterback in fantasy football. So, and I think the other thing too is that we mentioned, the bye week situation where this is the first big week of buys. And a lot of people are dealing with, guys being out. And if you need a quarterback to jump in there and stream, this would be one of those guys. And he's just, like we said, he's been a disappointment all year, but I think against the Kansas City Chiefs, he can have a really good, fantasy performance to make up for your bye week quarterback going out.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree. I agree.
All right, let's jump into the quarterback sit of the week, which is none other than Daniel Jones.
I think this is the third time he's been on this list.
I think we did it.
Just
sit, or
week?
Do we include start? Because I believe we've had him as a start at one point too.
We had him as a start, and I think we've had him as a sit twice or once.
Whatever.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah. Didn't we have him as our sit of the week last week against the Rams?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. Bro, don't throw us under the bus.
I'm not. Hey, that's not throwing us under the bus. He had a horrible week.
Yeah,
if anything, it's just us, being right.
Wait, we put him on the sit list. I thought you meant start list. I would have been like, why?
No. We put him on this. I think last week.
Oh, see, we right. See, I'll brag when I'm right.
Right, of course.
Anyway, he started the season very hot, 22-30. He has, a 16-point game, and then he had a 29. Last 2 weeks, he's been not great.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in the Dallas game. Did he get hurt? Yeah, he did get hurt in that game.
He did get hurt, yeah.
And then against the Rams, he didn't perform well at all. So, which is expected. But he's going up against Carolina this week. And, if you enter your sleeper app and you see, Daniel Jones against Carolina, ooh, that might be a good matchup. No, it's not a good matchup. Yeah, I wouldn't start him this week. Do you know if they have gotten back, what's his name? Stefan Gilmore. Is he playing this week?
He, so 19 minutes ago, Matt Rule said that newly acquired cornerback Stefan Gilmore could be active this week against the Giants.
Ooh.
So there's a chance he makes his Panthers debut. Yeah.
But there's been some issues with the New York Giants. They had a good start. Daniel Jones more specifically. They've been dealing with a lot of injuries. Several of their offensive linemen are gone, and they've been out the last couple weeks. And I think especially on the road. Are they at home this week?
It is home.
I was going to say on the road, but that's not right. But especially for Daniel Jones having all of this adversity, it doesn't make him a better quarterback. It actually makes him worse. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
obviously. But I think having all this adversity right now going on, it's not a good idea to start him, especially against the Panthers. If you have a choice and you have Daniel Jones on your bench for whatever reason, I would go with Tannehill and I would pick him up and start him over Daniel Jones because it's not worth it. So sit Daniel Jones.
100%. I think Daniel Jones is not a top 20 quarterback this week. And it's funny because I kind of want to see. I'm already at the point where it's I wonder what Daniel Jones looks like in a new team. What he's going to look like in 2022.
Is the Giants the reason why he blows? Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I actually, in the beginning of the year when the Giants were healthy, I did liked what I saw for the most part. And then obviously recently it's been very bad very quickly. But I think the biggest point with Daniel Jones and not starting him this week, not only everything about Carolina, like you said, the adversity and all that stuff, more specifically towards the adversity.
Yeah.
He could potentially be out or missing his top, not just receiver or top two receivers, literally the entire Giants receiving core from week one could be out this week.
Gross.
Kadarius Toney's already out. Kenny Galladay's already out. Slayton, Shepard, and John Ross are all listed as questionable. Saquon Barkley is now officially ruled out for this week. And Evan Ingram is questionable.
Wow.
He's going to be playing with an XFL team against the Panthers. It's not going to be pretty. He's not going to put up fantasy numbers. Your only hope is he gets an 80-yard touchdown run, which with Daniel Jones is, still a possibility, which is why people are considering starting him still. But don't start Daniel Jones this week at all. He's going to not play well.
Gross play. Somebody you should start at running back is Chuba Hubbard, though. Tell us why, Rick.
Yeah, since McCaffrey's out, what is it now? 2 more weeks at least.
Yeah. On the IR.
Chuba's going to kind of get that role, and he's been okay. He hasn't been great. He's not the most efficient. Like he had 3 targets, 1 catch, 4 yards this week, and then a 3.8 yard runs per carry, which is not great against a bad team. But he's still getting the workload. He had 24 carries in week 5, and he had 16 last week. Yeah. So he's going to get close to or at least around 20 touches. And against the Giants team, who we just talked about is in shambles right now, it's a good play. It's a solid matchup, and with all the buys this week and injuries, he could honestly be like a top 12 running back this week, just off production and his touches that he's going to get. So yeah, he's a great start. Honestly, I could see him getting like another 15, 16 point week in half PPR, which is very solid.
Yeah. I very much agree with that. He's been a decent like flex option over the last couple weeks of play. So it's not like, you're looking at him going, he just blows.
No.
Because in half PPR, I believe he's 15 and 13 over the last couple weeks.
Since McCaffrey's been down, he had in half PPR, he had 9 for the rest of the game. He had 8 in his first game being the starter, which isn't great. But then he had 15 and then 13. So solid.
And then when you talk about the Giants, their defense has given up the 7th most fantasy points per game to the running back. And 6 different, I saw this in an article, 6 different players at the position have scored at least 14 fantasy points against them or more. So yeah, this is a good week for Chuba Hubbard. I think especially, like I said, this is one of those guys where, if you handcuff Christian McCaffrey with Hubbard, then you're doing okay. And if you have a bye week at running back and you need to slide this guy into your starting lineup, if you had him or he's on the waiver wire, then I would definitely play him this week. It's worth it. You'll get your return in point total. So
yeah, no, I think he's a good play.
Let's move to the sit running back of the week, which is Alex Collins. Now, I love Alex Collins. He's been really good lately. I don't love him. As a player, he's not good. And I love him in the terms of him replacing Chris Carson well, if you picked him up and you've got the production out of him.
Yeah.
In that context, yes. But for him, there's a couple of different question marks going into this week. He's got an injury. And he's been questionable for most of the week. We don't know if he's going to play. So that's one thing to take into consideration. But the other thing is that the true RB2 on the Seattle Seahawks is coming back this week, and that's Rashad Penny. And I know you've seen some good games from Alex Collins, and that might have earned Alex Collins the starting job while Chris Carson's out. But it still means that they like Rashad Penny. They want to get Penny in there, and if Penny stays healthy, then what are you going to get out of Rashad Penny? You're going to get basically half the work, half the snaps. And Collins is going to go out, and he's going to get half the snaps. Rick has this very situation in the home league, so I'll let him talk about it a little bit more. But if you're in that situation with both of those guys, and you got a running back in an operation right now that isn't really running too well, and I don't know, Russell Wilson's going to be out for a little bit more time, and Seattle's not a good buy right now in terms of sliding players into your starting lineup. So I would say that Collins should sit this week because of those factors, and that you should make sure that you have another option out there.
Yeah. Well, so with my thing, Collins has actually been, fantasy-wise, he's been good. And this past week on the field, he was good as well. He had 5 yards of carry. The week before, he only had 3 yards of carry, which is disgusting. Right. But it was against the Rams. So honestly, he's been fine in his role. The problem, like you said, is with Rashad Penny. And no matter what the situation with Alex Collins, you're kind of looking to sit him, because if he plays and because Penny's playing no matter what, right, and that's the problem. So if he plays and Penny plays, you're expecting maybe a split. And to be honest with Pete Carroll, do you know who would get more work? I think it would probably be Penny.
Right.
But the way Collins has played,
maybe that changes.
I don't know. I have no idea. Right. So that just makes a huge mess of a situation. It's already not a great matchup. Or Collins doesn't play at all this week, and obviously you're not starting him in that case. So either situation right now, you're not starting Alex Collins at all. It's against the Saints too. So the Saints have a decent run defense. Like The offense blows. I mean, they are relying heavy on the run. Like, they're going to run the ball like 25 times against the Saints, 25, 30. Like, they're going to just pound the rock, but still, it's not a good matchup. What would you say if Alex Collins is out and Penny is the only guy in the backfield?
Stat Penny.
You'd stat him?
Yeah. Oh, man.
There is a report that came out today that said he shouldn't have any limitations Monday night against the Saints.
Who, Rashad Penny?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love Penny. Gotta give me some Penny. Get some Penny in my bloodstream.
Yeah, I'd do it, but there's still better options. But then again, this week with the buys and injuries, you might be forced to do it. But yeah, either way, Alex Collins is a no-go.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move to the start of the week at wide receiver, which is Darnell Mooney against Tampa. Now, this one is a little bit more of a risky play.
I played Mooney in daily fantasy last week, and it did okay.
I haven't played daily fantasy in like a couple weeks. What am I doing? I haven't had time to think.
I know.
I feel like if I'm going to gamble, I need to gamble right.
Right. No, that's how I feel as well.
But anyway, yeah, Mooney he's been decent this year. I mean, he's had some good games, and then he's had some not so good games. And the thing that I like about him is that he seems to be the guy that Justin Fields wants to target. And while Justin Fields has been horribly inconsistent so far this year, which is what you expect from a rookie, that is reflected in Darnell Mooney's numbers. Despite that, he's still getting 7-8 targets a game, which is good. And I believe he's out targeting Allen Robinson at this point. So, somebody get Allen Robinson some help, by the way. Get him out of there. Get him out of Chicago. I love Justin Fields, and he'll be good someday, but I would love Allen Robinson to be good somewhere. Please.
It's not only that, it's just they're not really using him as much.
They don't know how to use him.
So weird. I don't really know what's going on with Allen Robinson.
Nagy's a brick. But anyway.
And they're also, they're not throwing the ball a lot either. So
Darnell Mooney, like I said, one of those players where he's had 5-9, 1-5 on the season, but he's also had a 16 and a 13-point game. So he's kind of in a week.
Both those games with Fields, by the way.
Right, exactly. But when you have a guy who, or you have a situation where you're in bye weeks and you need a guy to start, and most likely you're looking at your roster going, okay, I have a ton of bye weeks and I'm probably not going to win this week. Then it's worth taking the risk and seeing if you can get a big performance out of it. Because if you slide Mooney into your lineup, he gets you 15, 16 points, and it makes up for somebody who's on a bye. If he doesn't do well, then you were in that situation regardless if you went with the safer play and got 7 points. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like that's what makes him a good play this week. I think if you're going up against a difficult opponent or you have a bunch of buys and you think you're going to lose, Mooney would be a great play to slide in and get a boom game from.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a good matchup against Tampa's secondary that hasn't been great this year. Now, Justin Fields has barely thrown the ball this year, but it has gone up. Feels like each start that he's had, from 17 to 20, 17, 20, and then this past week he had 27. So hopefully that's a sign of more things to come. I think if he just throws the ball 27 times, that's going to be enough for Mooney. Mooney is his top target, which is interesting. That's not Allen Robinson, which isn't a bad thing for Mooney owners, though. But yeah, since Fields has been the starter, the first game was tough because that was the Cleveland game where he got sacked like a gazillion times and only had 6 completions. So I'm going to count the Detroit game. He had 16, 5, 13, which is not bad. It's just kind of matchup dependent. And this week against Tampa, it's a good matchup. So yeah, like you said, you might need a plug and play this week with all the buys, so Mooney's a good option.
I agree. Let's quickly do Henry Ruggs and the tight ends. Well, bless you, my God.
Thank you.
But yeah, so let's do the sit real quick for the wide receivers and then blow through the tight ends and get out of here. But so the week, Henry Ruggs versus Philly. Really quickly, Philly been good against the wide receivers this year, not giving up a whole ton of fantasy points to the wide receiver position through the first 6 weeks of the season, so they've been decent. Ruggs is coming off a really great week, 17 fantasy points, and you're looking at it going, well, I got 17. This is great. Ruggs is a fantastic problem. He has 4 targets, 3 receptions in that game, and he just happened to catch one long ball, and the chances of that happening in back-to-back games is kind of low, And if he has a week like he does normally, it'll be like 5-6 points, and you're going to end up getting shafted by the point outage anyway. So I would say sit Henry Ruggs this week for those reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I've liked Ruggs this year. I have him in our home league, and I think he's been decent overall in the season. But this week it is a tough matchup, and you're right, the targets are kind of concerning. Like he's been good this year, but just because he's been a little bit more efficient. Yeah, he has had a couple games where he's had some good target shares, but the last 2 weeks he hasn't. Now, granted, they're going to take at least one shot to Ruggs down the field if they do it every game. And if it hits, it's a good week fantasy-wise because that's like 6 points on one play. But, against Philly this week, it's probably not the best time to play him. And, yeah, he had a touchdown last week, so the odds of him getting another one are pretty low, I would say. So, yeah, I mean, the situations, though, around the leagues and, like, with the teams and stuff and with all the buys, you might have to play him. But if you have a better option, then do it.
Yeah, I agree. Start tight end of the week quickly, Mike Guyseki. He's actually been pretty good, and not this season, but in the last couple weeks. He had a good game in London, 15 fantasy points. In the last 4 weeks, he's had 13, 14, 6, and 15. So he's been actually producing relatively well at tight end for the Miami Dolphins. They do have Tua back. Atlanta, according to Sleeper, is not a great matchup, but I think he continues these performances. He continues getting 8-9 targets. When you have a tight end who gets you 9 to 10 targets a game, 8 to 10 targets a game, I should say, you got to ride that tight end. So I would say start Mike Gesicki this week against Atlanta.
Yeah, he's been really good, and he clearly has a connection with Tua as well. So yeah, no, I would start him. It's a good matchup.
And then finally, because tight ends are boring, Jonnu Smith. So every week I should just break Jonnu Smith in every week.
At this point, is he even?
Is it even?
Like, does anyone own him in redraft anymore? In the starting,
I don't know, but it's bye weeks, bro.
Yeah, it is bye weeks. Yeah,
they picked up Jonnu Smith for a start.
Yeah, he has 4 targets in his last 2 games.
Yeah, no, that's not good. He's been absolutely awful on the season, and even when he has been targeted, he really hasn't put up that many fantasy points. He got a touchdown in a game and only scored 8 points. So, I mean, at this point, he should be on your waiver wire, but he is definitely not a guy that you want to pick up and play against the Jets this week. I believe the guy who you would want to have on your team for this game for the Patriots is Hunter Henry, but
yeah,
it is.
Although he has had 3 straight weeks with touchdowns, so I don't know if he makes that 4. To be honest,
that's fair. But ride the wave, bro. Ride the wave.
All right, fair enough.
But anyway, any more thoughts on the starts and sits?
No, I think that's it.
There you go. Week 7 starts and sits in the Bagones. This is Friday, I think, that we're going to post this. So tomorrow morning we'll have trade targets for you Saturday morning. And I guess you double up listening to 2 episodes of the podcast. See ya tomorrow, my friends.
Later.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.